This video is brought to you by AKSIAS.
Hi, let me introduce myself. My name is Mithun and I'm from Kerala. I've been in the field of teaching for competitive examinations for almost 10 years. Today we'll go for the strategies to approach the verbal part of CSAT, right? Now, as you know, in the previous years, in the verbal part of CSAT, we came across very long passages. For the last 2 years, the questions happened this way. Short passages, right? We came across only short passages in the last 2 years. And not only that, we have to focus more on reading comprehension and logical reasoning in the case of CSAT English, right? In the case of logical reasoning, the questions appear this way: a short paragraph followed by one question. In the case of reading comprehension, it appears this way: a paragraph followed by 2 or 3 questions. So we can expect questions on both reading comprehension and logical reasoning in the verbal part of CSAT, right? So we'll go for some strategies or techniques that help us solve the questions in very less time, right? Now, first we'll go for reading comprehension, then we'll think about the concepts that appear in logical reasoning, right? In the case of reading comprehension, now if it is a long passage or a short passage, it doesn't matter. The length of the passage does not matter. We need to focus only on the concepts to crack the questions, right? When you go for a question in the verbal part, whether it's reading comprehension or logical reasoning, the 2 things we need to focus on are, one is understanding the context, and the other one is identifying the charge. Understanding the context means the meaning of each and every sentence or each and every idea must be understood by us. That is understanding the context. And the second one is identifying the charge. Now, identifying the charge in the sense whether a question or an idea carries a positive charge or a negative charge. These are 2 things we need to focus on. Now, if you feel that the question is positively charged, the answer must also be positively charged. So all the negative options can be eliminated. Similarly, if the question is negatively charged, the answer must also be negatively charged. So all the positive options can be eliminated. Now, there are many strategies that help us understand the context. There are many strategies that help us identify the charge, right? We'll go for those concepts in detail, right? Now, the way you eliminate options in the case of mathematics using the charge, the same way you can eliminate options in the case of English using the charge, right? So all the concepts we discuss will be based on these 2, the context and the charge. Now, you have been approaching reading comprehension questions since childhood, right? Now, when you go for a question on reading comprehension, in the case of our examination, never try to understand the whole passage. If you try to understand the whole passage, it becomes a waste of time. Now, I say waste of time because the questions that follow the passage will not be based on all the details given in the passage. So, if you try to understand the whole passage, it becomes an utter waste of time. So, instead of focusing on understanding the whole passage, we need to focus on some concepts, right? Some strategies must be applied onto the passage and move on to the options only to start the elimination process, right? We'll go for those in detail. Now, every question will be dealing with a particular topic. Now, even if you go through the passage lightly, you will be able to understand what the passage is about. Whether it's about history, geography, literature, politics, that you will be able to understand. That's the only thing we have to care about while reading the passage, not the understanding of the whole passage, right? Then move on to the questions. Every question will be dealing with a particular topic. Understand the topic of the question and go back to the exact part of the passage where the topic is mentioned. One topic will be mentioned only in one part. One topic will not be mentioned more than one part, undoubtedly. So focus only on that part of the passage where the topic of the question is mentioned. Forget about the rest of the passage. Compare only that part of the passage with the options, right? So all the concepts we discuss must be applied only onto these 2. That part of the passage where the topic of the question is given and to the options, forget about the rest. So the option that we select as the answer to that question must be given there in that part of the passage. So if we find any word or any detail in any option not given there in that particular part, without thinking much, eliminate that option, right? I'll tell you how to approach, right? Now, as I said, these are the 2 things we need to focus on. One is understanding the context, the other one is identifying the charge, right? There's a concept by name indicators. This is a very important concept, right? Indicators are in fact keywords. Indicators are keywords, right? The concept of indicators is all about identifying the charge of every idea in a sentence. Now, an idea can be negatively charged as well as positively charged. The charge of an idea depends on the context in which the idea is. So, based on the context, with the help of indicators, you must be able to identify the charge of every idea in a sentence, right? Now, in English, we have three kinds of indicators. And the three kinds of indicators in English are, one is contrast indicators. I'll tell you what. Then support indicators. And the last one is cause and effect indicators. These are the three kinds of indicators in English. Come to the first one, contrast indicators. You know what is meant by contrast? Contra means against or opposite. If I say a contradicting situation, that means an opposing situation. Something that is opposite to another or against another is termed as contrast, right? If I say two sentences, a nearby enemy is of better help than a faraway friend, full stop. Now, punctuation marks deserve a lot of importance while reading, right? I repeat, a nearby enemy is of better help than a faraway friend, full stop. But, you must always trust a friend, two sentences, right? A nearby enemy is of better help than a faraway friend, but you must always trust a friend. Whom did I support in the first idea? I supported the enemy. As a nearby enemy is of better help than a faraway friend. Whereas in the second statement, I supported the friend, but you must always trust a friend. So in the first statement, I supported the enemy, whereas the second statement, I supported the friend. So I can say there is a contrast between the two sentences. The second idea contradicts the first idea. And the contrast between the two ideas is brought about by the single word but. So I can say but is a contrast indicator, right? To make my idea more precise, whenever you come across a contrast indicator, conclude that two contradicting ideas are getting connected. That means if the first idea is positive, the second idea must be negative. Or if the first idea is negative, the second idea must be positive, right? In fact, we must be very careful about contrast indicators. Because contrast indicators always suggest a transition in the sentence. Transition means a change or a shift from one to the other, from positive to negative or from negative to positive. Now, when you start reading a statement, sometimes the first part of a sentence may seem to be positive, but you can never come to the conclusion that the whole sentence is positive. Because towards the middle, there may be a contrast indicator. And what comes after the contrast indicator will be negative. So when you find a contrast indicator, conclude that two ideas are getting connected. The first idea positive, the second idea negative, or the first idea negative, the second idea positive. The words like but, however, yet, though, although, even though, albeit, whereas, right, instead of. Now, instead of can be used only when a sentence talks about replacement. If I say, instead of an apple, I ate a mango. Instead of an apple, I ate a mango means I replace an apple with a mango. So we can go for instead of only when a sentence talks about replacement, right? So however, yet, though, although, even though, whereas, otherwise, lest, in contrast, on the contrary, on the other hand, right? Rather than, all these words tell us about a change in the charge from positive to negative or from negative to positive. That's about the first one, contrast indicators. We'll go for the list of indicators later. Come to the second one, support indicators. Now similarly, a support indicator also connects two ideas. The thing is, the second idea supports the first idea. That means if the first idea is positive, the second idea must also be positive. If the first idea is negative, the second idea must also be negative. So whenever you come across a support indicator, conclude that two supporting ideas are getting connected. That means the two ideas must be either positively charged or negatively charged. So a change in the charge is suggested only by a contrast indicator. Only a contrast indicator tells us about a change in the charge. A support indicator connects either two positive ideas or two negative ideas. Words like and, also, moreover, as well as, along with, together with, in addition to, accompanied by, besides, right, as a complement, right, apart from, other than, as an example. Now this concept is very important. As an example. An example is a support indicator. In the case of reading comprehension, we need to focus mainly on 5 types of questions, right? And one of those 5 types is regarding the example. Now, when you come across a question based on an example, you go to the exact sentence where that word is mentioned, where that example is mentioned. Yet it will be mentioned only in one sentence, undoubtedly. So go to the exact statement where that example is mentioned and focus only on the statement that comes immediately before the example. That statement must be the answer to that question. Because the rule is this: an example cannot be taken as an idea. An example is not an idea. An example always supports a statement that comes immediately before it. That's a rule regarding example. I'll take you through this in detail when we move on to the types of questions. Right. Now, as an example, like, similarly, such as, for instance, as an illustration, likewise, all these words mean the same. Right? Not only but also, either or, neither nor, all these are support indicators. They connect either two positive ideas or two negative ideas. Right. Now come to the last one, cause and effect indicators. Cause means the reason. The reason why something has taken place or not taken place is termed as a cause. And effect means the result. The result, the outcome, the impact, the aftermath, the reaction. If I say the effect of the medicine, that means the result of the medicine. So cause means the reason and effect means the result. The last one is cause and effect indicators. Now any word that joins or clubs a reason and a result can be termed as a cause and effect indicator. A word connecting a reason and a result can be defined as a cause and effect indicator. Now as you know, a reason always supports a result. A reason never contradicts a result. A reason always supports a result. Support means it is positive, positive, or negative, negative. A reason always supports a result. So if the reason is positive, the result must also be positive. Similarly, if the reason is negative, the result must also be negative. So whenever you find a cause and effect indicator, conclude that two ideas are getting connected. One idea will be the reason, the other idea will be the result. It's always positive reason, positive result, or negative reason, negative result. It can never be a positive reason and a negative result, or a negative reason and a positive result. It must always be a positive reason and a positive result, or a negative reason and negative result, always, right? If I go for a simple statement to make the concept of idea indicators clear to you, right? If I say, he studied well, comma, dash, failed the exam. He studied well, dash, failed the exam. Now I say, this blank must be filled with the contrast indicator but. In this sentence, we have two ideas. The first idea is he studied well, positive. The second idea is failed the exam, negative. Now in this statement, we have two contradicting ideas, one positive idea and one negative idea. So these two ideas must be connected by a contrast indicator. But is a contrast indicator. He studied well but failed the exam. This statement makes sense. Now in the case of CSAT English, the only thing that is getting tested is a verbal logic part. We don't have any questions on grammar. We don't have any questions on vocabulary. We have questions only on the verbal logic part in the CSAT English, right? Logic is all about making sense, right? And whatever we say must be logical. Whatever we do must be logical. So the option that we select as the answer must make sense, right? The options given to us will be grammatically correct, no doubt in that. We just need to see whether it makes sense or not. If an option does not make sense, without thinking much, eliminate that option, right? Now, in this statement, I change the statement this way. He studied well and passed the exam. He studied well and passed the exam. We have two ideas here. He studied well is one idea. Pass the exam is the other idea. He studied well is positive. Pass the exam is also positive. We have two positive ideas in this sentence. So these two ideas must be connected by a support indicator. And is a support indicator. So he studied well and passed the exam makes sense. Right? Two positive ideas connected by a support indicator. Right? To give you an example based on cause and effect indicators, right? I go for a statement like, she cried as she was depressed. She cried as she was depressed. We have two ideas here. She cried is one idea. She was depressed is the other idea. Right? As is a cause and effect indicator. So one idea must be the reason, the other idea must be the result. The reason here is she cried, the cause of the reason. The reason here is she was depressed, the cause of the reason. And the result here is she cried. Result is the same as effect and reason is the same as cause. So she was depressed is the reason here, she cried is the result here. And every cause and effect indicator connects a reason and a result. I told you earlier, an idea can be negatively charged as well as positively charged. The charge of an idea depends on the sentence or the context in which the idea appears. So based on the context, with the help of indicators, you must be able to identify the charge of every idea. Now my question is, in this context, she cried is a negative idea or a positive idea? That is my question. Now, I asked you the charge of the first idea. Forget about it. Come to the second idea. She was depressed is negative. That means here, the reason is negative. And if the reason is negative, the result must also be negative. Negative reason, negative result, positive reason, positive result. Here the reason is negative, so the result must also be negative. So in this context, she cried becomes a negative idea. Right? I frame a statement this way. She cried as she was happy. She cried as she was happy. Now when we are happy also we cry sometimes, like happy tears. The reason here is she was happy and the result is she cried, right? Now in this context, the reason is she was happy, which is positive. So the reason here is positive, the result must also be positive. So in this context, she cried becomes a positive idea, right? In the first case, negative reason, negative result. In the second case, positive reason, positive result, right? What if I go for a statement like this? She was happy, but she cried. She was happy, but she cried. But is a contrast indicator, must always correct one positive idea and one negative idea. The first idea is she was happy, positive. So but is a contrast indicator and the first idea is positive, the second idea must be negative. So in this context, she cried becomes a negative. Getting it? So this is the concept of indicators, and indicators will surely help us a lot in eliminating options by helping us identify the charge of every idea, right? You might have come across this statement. You might have watched this movie, My Name is Khan. The caption of the movie is, my name is Khan, but I am not a terrorist, or my name is Khan and I am not a terrorist. That is my question. Right? Now there is a concept called double negation. This concept will surely help us eliminate options in the case of both reading comprehension and logical reasoning. Double negation means when two negative terms come together, the meaning becomes positive. Now, as you know, minus to minus is plus, right? If I say not impossible, not is a negative word, impossible is also a negative word, two negative terms coming together, double negation, not impossible becomes a positive word, which means possible, right? Antiseptic. Antiseptic, anti is a negative prefix, meaning against or opposite. Septic is a negative word. Wound becoming septic is negative. So two negative terms coming together, double negation, antiseptic becomes a positive word. Anti-ragging, anti-corruption, anti-terrorism, anti-virus, all these are positive words only because of double negation. So this will surely help us, this concept will surely help us eliminate options. Right. Now my question was, my name is Khan and I am not a terrorist, or my name is Khan but I am not a terrorist. And is a support indicator. Must connect either two positive ideas or two negative ideas. But is a contrast indicator. Must connect one positive idea and one negative idea. Right? I'll go for the usage of but first. My name is Khan, but I am not a terrorist. The idea after but is I am not a terrorist, positively charged because of double negation. Not is negative, terror is also negative, double negation becomes positive. So idea after but is positive because of double negation. So idea of before but must be negative. That means my name is Khan must be a negative idea. But my name is Khan cannot be a negative idea. There's nothing wrong in possessing a name like Khan. My name is Khan is something of course positive. So my name is Khan but I am not a terrorist does not make any statement, easily eliminated. Come to the usage of and. My name is Khan and I am not a terrorist. And must connect either two positive ideas or two negative ideas. The idea after and is I am not a terrorist, positive, double negation. So idea after and is positive. The idea before and must also be positive. That means my name is Khan also becomes a positive idea. And my name is Khan is of course a positive idea. There's nothing wrong in possessing a name like Khan. So my name is Khan and I am not a terrorist makes sense, right? So every statement must make sense. Then if you find any difficulty in understanding a concept, in any statement, understanding any statement, you go for a parallel statement. If I say, my name is Midun, but I am a teacher, does not make any sense. My name is Midun, as I am a teacher. As is a cause and effect indicator. Must connect a reason and a result. My name is Midun, as I am a teacher means, if I were not a teacher, my name would not be Midun. That too does not make any sense. My name is Midun and I am a teacher makes sense, right? Her name is Rekha, but she is my wife. Doesn't make any sense. Her name is Rekha and she is my wife makes sense. So every statement must make sense, right? And as I said, the concept of indicators is all about identifying the charge of every idea in a sentence. Right? Now, when you go for reading comprehension, will you read the questions first or passage first? Now, you usually get the reply that people go for the questions first and then move on to the passage. Now, you can go for that method, questions first and then the passage, but that is termed as a last minute approach. If you have just 2 or 3 minutes left and if you have a whole passage to be completed, you can go for that method, questions first and then the passage. But you go for that method, if you go for that method, you can never be sure that the answers you mark are the exact ones. I'll tell you why. So first thing is, the better thing is, read the passage first and then move on to the questions. Now as I said, never try to understand the whole passage, right? We'll go for some questions, some concepts regarding how to approach reading comprehension, right? Now, some words like these, all, always, never, everyone, everybody, everything, every time, everywhere, someone, somebody, something, sometime, somewhere, anyone, anybody, anything, anytime, anywhere. No one, nobody, nothing, no time, nowhere. Whatever, wherever, whenever, whoever, whomever. Right? All, always, never. Everyone, everybody, everything, every time, everywhere. The same is the case with some, any, no. whatever, wherever, whenever, whoever, whomever. Now these can be termed as general words, right? These are general words. If you find any of these words in any statement, conclude that it is a general statement. These words tell us that a statement is general, right? Now the rule is this: from a specific statement, we cannot go for a general conclusion. This is the rule. From a specific statement, we cannot go for a general conclusion. So based on the words we discuss, or based on the words in a statement, you must be able to identify whether that statement is general or specific, right? The only task while approaching verbal questions is, in the case of reading comprehension, understand the meaning and the charge of the option and the meaning and the charge of the sentence that talks about the option. Only one sentence in the passage will talk about one option, right? So understand the meaning and the charge of the option and the meaning and the charge of the sentence that talks about the option. Now we can select an option only if these two are satisfied. Only if the meaning and the charge are satisfied, we can select an option. That means, to make it very clear, the meaning and the charge of an option must be the same as the meaning and the charge of the sentence that talks about the option. If the charge is satisfied, but if the meaning is not, without thinking much, eliminate that option, right? So we can select an option, we can go for an option only if these two are satisfied, the meaning and the charge, right? The rule says, from a specific statement, we cannot go for a general conclusion, right? If I say a statement like, Ram got the first rank because he studied well. Because is a cause and effect indicator connecting a reason and a result. The reason here is he studied well, positive. The result here is he got the first rank, positive. So positive reason, positive result. Ram got the first rank because he studied well. This is a very specific statement. One reason is none of these general words is there in the statement. Another reason is I'm talking about one particular person, Ram. As I'm talking about one particular person, it becomes a very specific statement, right? So Ram got the first rank because he studied well becomes a specific statement. From this statement, can you draw a conclusion like all those who study well will get the first rank? No. That becomes a general conclusion. Simple reason is all is a general word. As I told you, from a specific statement, we cannot go for a general conclusion. Or from the same statement, Ram got the first rank because he studied well. From this statement, can you go for a conclusion like only those who study well will get the first rank? No. In fact, it is not necessary to study well to get the first rank. If you copy also, you'll get the first rank. To make my idea very precise, if the word only is there in the option, the word only must be there in that part of the passage where the topic of the question is mentioned. We need to focus only on that part of the passage where the topic is given and the options. That's it. Forget about the rest of the passage, right? If you find any option containing the word only, just see where the word only is given in that part. If you don't find the word only there, without thinking much, just eliminate that option, right? Now what I mean to say is, if what is there in the option is general, what is there in that part of the passage must also be general. If not, eliminate. Similarly, if what is there in the option is specific, what is there in that part of the passage must also be specific. If not, eliminate. It can never be general and specific or specific and general. It must always be general and general or specific and specific. Always. Right. Now, words like these, this, that, these, those, they are pronouns, right? This, that, these, those are pronouns. There's a concept by name pronoun antecedent. Pronoun antecedent. Now, some of the concepts in grammar will surely help us solve reading comprehension and logical reasoning questions. So there's no need for us to go for grammar topics in detail. We'll discuss only those important concepts in grammar will surely help us at the time of our examination, right? Pronoun antecedent. A-N-T-E is a prefix meaning pre. Pre means before. Pronoun antecedent means every pronoun must refer to a noun before it. You know what a noun is, you know what a pronoun is. Without a noun, we cannot have a pronoun. A singular pronoun can refer only to a singular noun, and a plural pronoun can refer only to a plural noun. That is the concept of pronoun identity. You know which pronouns are singular, which pronouns are plural, right? Now this, that, these, those are termed as demonstrative pronouns. They are called demonstrative pronouns because we use these pronouns only when we demonstrate something, refer to something in specific, like this book, that book, these books, those books, etc. That's why they are termed as demonstrative pronouns, right? Now as you know, this and that are singular, these and those are plural. Now, as I said, a singular pronoun can refer only to a singular noun, and a plural pronoun can refer only to a plural noun. Right? I'll give an example based on this. Now, how many articles in English? 3. 2 types actually, 3 in number. An, and the. And the are 3 articles in English. And an are termed as indefinite articles, whereas the is called the definite article. Now, and an are termed as indefinite articles because we don't use and an to refer to a particular person or a particular object. That means and an indefinite articles are taken as general. The is called the definite article because we use the to refer to a particular person or a particular object. That means the definite article is taken as specific. And an are taken as general, the is taken as specific. Right? Demonstrative pronouns are always taken as specific. We use these pronouns only when we refer to something that is specific. Right? If I go for a statement like, I got the first rank this time because I studied well. Right? I told you earlier, only one sentence in the passage will talk about one option. We're going to focus only on the option and the sentence that talks about it, right? I got the first rank this time because I studied well. I say that this is a very specific statement because of 3 reasons. One is I, specific person. The first rank, the is a definite article taken as specific. This time, this is a demonstrative pronoun taken as specific. So because of 3 reasons, I can say it is a very specific statement. One is I, then the first rank, then this time. Right. Now my question is, from this statement, can you go for a conclusion like, every time I study well, I get the first rank? Now in the option also we have 3 entities. One is every time, then I study well, I get the first rank. There are 3 entities in the sentence in the option. Sentence in the passage. There are 3 entities in the option. Now, entities in the sense nouns or pronouns. I is a pronoun. The first rank is a noun. This time is a noun. So we have 3 entities in the sentence in the passage, 3 entities in the option. Right. Now, I is specific. Here also it is specific. Specific and specific go together. The first rank is specific. Here also it is the first rank, specific and specific go together. So 2 entities in the option and the passage are matching. We have one more entity left. This time is specific, every time is general. I gave you the list of general words. So 2 entities are matching, but 1 entity is not. When at least one of the entities in the option and the passage does not match, without thinking much, just eliminate that option. I repeat, when at least one entity in the option and the passage does not match, without thinking much, eliminate that option. So here 2 entities are matching, but 1 entity is not, so eliminate it. So this cannot be concluded from this statement. Getting it? Right. Now these words, what, where, when, who, whom, these words are taken as specific. What, where, when, who, whom are taken as specific. What is used to refer to a specific object. Where is used to refer to a specific place. When, specific time. Who and whom, specific persons. Right. So these words are taken as specific. Whenever is added to them, they become general. That means whatever is general, wherever, whenever, whoever, whomever, all these are general. Right. If I go for a statement like, he appreciated me for what I had done. Right? He appreciated me for what I had done. I say that this is a very specific statement. One reason is he, specific person, then me or I, specific person, what I had done, what refers to the exact thing I had done. So because of three reasons, I can say it is a very specific statement. He, me and what. From this statement, we cannot go for a conclusion like, he will appreciate me for whatever I do. Because whatever is a general word, from a specific statement, we cannot go for a general conclusion. In the option also, we have three entities. He, specific, me, specific, whatever is general. Two entities are matching, one entity is not matching. So without thinking much, eliminate that option. Right? So this is a concept of general and specific. If what is there in the option is general, what is there in that part of the passage, the topic is given, must also be general. The same is the case with specific. Now, we can understand whether an option is general or specific only when we compare the option to the sentence that talks about it. Right? And I repeat, the meaning and the charge of the option must be the same as the meaning and the charge of the sentence that talks about the option. The entities in the option must match with the entities in the part of the passage where the topic is mentioned. Right? And only if all the entities match, we can select an option. Because the meaning of the option must remain the same as the meaning of a sentence given there in the passage. Right? So this is a concept of general and specific. Now come to the third concept, ER words or more words. Now ER words or more words are termed as comparative degree adjectives. Now an adjective is a word that describes a noun or a pronoun. Now they are termed as comparative degree adjectives because we use these ER words or more words only when we compare two entities. Only when two entities are getting compared, we can go for these ER words or more words, right? And the two entities getting compared must be two similar entities. There's no need for us to go for any comparison. A comparison will be brought about by the author in the passage, just find it out. What I mean to say is this, if there is a comparative degree adjective in the option, there must be a comparative degree adjective in that part of the passage where the topic of the question is mentioned. That means, if you find any option containing an ER word or more word, just see whether there is any ER or more word in that part. If you don't find any ER or more word there, just eliminate that option. Right? If X and Y are getting compared in the option, X and Y must get compared in that part. That means the two entities that are getting compared in the option must be the same as the two entities getting compared in that part. Right? To be very precise, when any option containing an ER word or more word, just see whether there is any ER word or more word in that part, or else without thinking much, eliminate that option. ER words in sense like stronger, taller, sharper, better, higher, more words, more beautiful, more intelligent, etc. Similarly, ST words. Now these ST words are termed as superlative degree adjectives. The same is the case. If there is a superlative degree adjective in the option, there must be a superlative degree adjective in that part of the passage. Right? I said we need to focus only on that part of the passage where the topic of the question is given. Forget about the rest. Right? If you find an option containing an ST word, just see whether there is any ST word in that part. If you don't find any ST word there, eliminate that option. Right? So without trying to understand the meaning of the whole passage, go by these concepts to select, eliminate options and find out the best answer. Right? Now sometimes we may come across more than one correct answer. It is not about choosing the correct answer, it is about choosing the best answer. Don't get stuck with any option, keep eliminating options, at last you'll come across only one. Now, the next concept, fact and doubt. If what is there in the option is a fact, what is there in that part of the passage must also be a fact. Similarly, if what is there in the option is a doubt, what is there in that part of the passage must also be a doubt. It can never be a fact and a doubt or a doubt and a fact. It must always be a fact and a fact or a doubt and a doubt. If I ask you, what is the past tense of will? The past tense of will is would. The past tense of shall is also would. The past tense of shall is not should. I'll tell you about the word should in the last concept. Right? I'll tell you about it, this concept. Leave it there, I'll come back to it. The past tense of will is would. The past tense of may is might, right? So will and would are for certainty. That is a fact. May and might are for uncertainty. That is a doubt, right? So will and would are for certainty. That is a fact. May and might are for uncertainty. That is a doubt. Now, if you find any option that is like a fact, right? Just see whether mention about that option in the passage, in the part of the passage, is also like a fact. If not, eliminate. If I tell you, I will come there. I will come there means you can be sure that I come there. So this is like a fact. I may come there is like a doubt. If I say I may come there, you cannot be sure that I come there. This is like a doubt. If you find will or would in the option, which says that it is a fact, the same must be there in that part of the passage saying that it is a fact. If you find may or might in an option saying that it's a doubt, the same must be there in that part saying that it's a doubt there as well, right? If you have will in the option and may in that part of the passage, eliminate that option. Similarly, vice versa, if you have may in the option and will in that part of the passage, eliminate it without thinking much, right? So if what is in the option is a fact, what is there in that part must also be a fact. If what is in the option is a doubt, what is in that part must also be a doubt. One more concept that comes in this list is modal. It's not model, it's M-O-D-A-L, modal. Now modals are auxiliary verbs that tell us about a compulsory action, a responsibility, a duty or an obligation, all mean the same. Now words like must, should, have to, need to, ought to, has to, had to, have to. All these are termed as modals. Now, had to is the past tense of both has to and have to. Right? Now, all these words tell us about a compulsory action. Like, you must come here, you should come here, you have to come here, you need to come here, you ought to come here, he has to come here, etc. All these words denote a responsibility, a duty or an obligation. So they are termed as modals. Now the rule is this: if there is a modal in the option, there must be a modal in that part of the passage where the topic of the question is given. That means if you find any option containing any of these words, just see whether any of these words is given there in that particular part. If you don't find any of these words there, without thinking much, eliminate that option. Now all these words mean the same, right? The only thing is, had to is a past tense of have to and has to, right? Now in the option, you have must. In that part of the passage, you have should. So my question is, will you select that option or eliminate it? That's my question. Now you have to select it because all the modals mean the same. The only thing is, if there is a modal in the option, there must be modal in that part. So if you find any option containing any of these words, as I said, just see whether any of these words is there in that part. If not, eliminate that option. So these are some concepts that surely help us eliminate options in the case of reading comprehension and logical reasoning. Now the concepts of reading comprehension and logical reasoning are almost the same. But there is a difference in the types of questions, right? In the case of logical reasoning, we can come across 9 types of questions. I'll take you through those types once we complete the types of questions on reading comprehension, right? So the concepts are almost the same. A slight difference is there in the approach when it comes to some kinds of questions. And the number of questions in logical reasoning is more than the number of questions on reading comprehension, right? So these are the concepts that need to be kept on mind while approaching reading comprehension: general, specific, comparative, superlative, fact, doubt, modal, right? The application part we'll think about later. So these are the concepts. So concept part is done. We'll think about the types of questions. Now every question has got its own approach. Now when you take a question, understand which type of question it is and then move accordingly, right? We'll discuss the types of questions.
This This video is brought to you by AKSIAS.